You know what? I'm actually pretty disgusted at how Sky News has downplayed some utterly horrific attacks at Notting Hill Carnival. Now, I know the news is supposed to give you a factual account as to what has happened, but to a large extent, they have a responsibility for how you think about things, because it is how you get the news. It's how you, the viewer, find out about what's happened. And when it is twisted and manipulated, in my view, of course, for legal reasons, when it's twisted and manipulated in that way, it is trying to persuade you to think in a certain way about certain events. And that, given the account of what I've read here, is frankly appalling. Now, I don't blame the newsreader, because she clearly, well, to me, looks like she's reading it for the first time, quite frankly, and has no idea what she's talking about. But by the by, I'm going to show you the clip in a minute. And so if you do want a fresh, brutally honest alternative to the mainstream media, stuff they won't tell you, and cutting out some of the stuff they do tell you, please do consider subscribing, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you get future videos and it spreads my channel to a wider audience, and I'll really appreciate that. And I will keep telling you the brutal, honest truth. That's my commitment to you. But with that in mind, with the news responsible for giving you a factual account as to what's happened, they should keep this kind of downplaying out of it, particularly when it's to do with lots of attacks like this. Now, you're going to watch me do some mental somersaults with the YouTube algorithm here to avoid or minimize certain words so that it doesn't get flagged up and then no one sees the video. But I am going to show you the clip. I'm going to give you some thoughts about it. And also, you might remember that someone on Dudley Road was attacked with a sharp thing, and somebody said that it should have been charged as attempting to kill him with the M word. But there's a reason that it wasn't charged as that, in my view. Not that this is intended to interfere with the proceedings in any way. It's just a legal analysis as to why it might have been charged differently. I'll come back to that in a minute, because that is something, again, I think a lot of people are interested in, and is probably not really well reported in the news. It's just reported as this is what's happened, and without any real explanation, and probably gets people upset, because people would think, well, clearly this person intended to do this, therefore this is what should have been charged, is what people probably think. In fact, I know that's the case because I've seen it on X. So I'm not scuppering any proceedings there by saying that's what I've read on X. That is how some people are thinking about it. Those proceedings will take their course, but I will give you in general terms why certain offences are charged differently a little bit later in the video. First, let's come to this thing in Sky News that I think is, frankly, I think is disgraceful. Have a listen to this, first of all. This is talking about all of the events in Notting Hill Carnival. If you're not familiar, there's a list of things here on screen as to what the police have had to deal with. 49 possession of offensive weapons, several other types of offences here, and 8 people got stabbed, frankly. And so let's listen to what Sky News had to say about this.
A 20-year-old arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and violent disorder. The other 2 people arrested on suspicion of violent disorder. The officers are also injured, says that they gave police medics gave emergency medical treatment until the arrival of paramedics. The woman was transported to hospital where she remains in critical condition. It says that while the investigation is ongoing, initial inquiries suggest the woman was caught in an altercation between 2 men. So it sounds like the woman was caught up in a fight breaking out. It's not yet clear if these people were known to her. Police are continuing to ask, of course, for any witnesses. Up to 1 million people attend Carnival. Wider context, though, apparently stabbings are now down at Notting Hill Carnival as well.
So like I say, I hold no severe criticism against this lady. Clearly she's reading it out. It looks like she's reading it for the first time. It looks like she doesn't know everything about it while she's reading it. That's her job, so don't shoot the messenger. But first of all, to say the lady's caught up in this scenario is frankly a poor choice of words to put across here, because whilst she may have been physically caught up in this scenario, just being caught up and being severely attacked like that is just a poor way to put it across. But then to downplay it by saying that these are down, they're actually down, as Dan Wooten this is where I just where I saw this post come up. I've seen it a few times now, but this is the one that I just brought on screen here. Playing down the attempted M of a woman as Dan Wootton said, you can't make this up. So I think that's really bad. And also to say that they are down, well, down from what? Down from 10 last year, 7 the year before that, 18 the year before, not the year before that, 2019, 7 in 2018, 12 in 2017, 1 in 2022 was fatal. So down, right? So 8 is down from 10, and is that supposed to make it okay? So I don't agree with downplaying this. If they're going to read news, it should be as it is, with no sort of downplaying and trying to say, well, this is a little bit better because there's 2 fewer than there were last year. That's not down. That's in the same ballpark. There shouldn't be any. The police shouldn't have to deal with this. They shouldn't have to. If you look at the list of what the police had to deal with on this day, now the police get their fair share of criticism, including from me, I might add. I will criticise the police when I think the police have done something wrong, but I will also stand up for the police when I say the police have a difficult job to do. 35 officers were injured. And this was an update as of yesterday evening. There might have been a further update since then, I'm not sure. But 49 in possession of a weapon, countless other offences, drug offences and all sorts of other stuff, public order offences, you name it, along with what happened to this poor lady. But you can't downplay it by saying, well, we understand that they are down now because it's only down to 8 from 10. That's not really down. That's in the same ballpark. But coming back to another point where someone has said that someone else was attacked on Dudley Road. Now, I'm not speaking about that case in particular because I don't know the facts and I don't know what the prosecutors have sought to decide on that particular occasion. But generally speaking, when someone is charged with an offence like that, if it's believed that, well, possibly they might have intended to kill them, but they didn't die, then they have to prove that there was intent to kill. And so just intent to cause serious harm is not enough. So if the person did die and they could be charged with murder, if there was intent to cause serious harm, that would suffice if the person died, because it doesn't matter whether they only intended to seriously hurt them. If they actually died as a result, they can be charged with murder. Obviously, I hope that's obvious. But that doesn't suffice for the attempt. So if in one case and on one analysis there might be an attempted murder, for example, generally you understand, they would have to prove that there was an intent to kill, not just cause serious harm. Whereas if they did cause serious harm and they wanted to prove that they caused serious harm, then that would suffice for the serious harm charge. And so a Section 18 also carries life imprisonment. So in cases like that, it might well be the case that they go for the lower charge, which is easier to prove, because otherwise it will be an all or nothing trying to prove that someone had the intent to kill. And if they're not able to persuade a jury of that, then obviously they would walk from that charge. There is always the alternative of Section 18, which is generally going to be easier to prove because it's only the intent to cause serious harm. And if there was serious harm and it was clear that it was deliberate, then it's going to be easier to prove that there was intent to cause that serious harm. But if they didn't actually go on to die, then proving that they intended to kill them is an entirely different matter. So either way, I hope that cleared up a few things. When you see the headlines like this, you really do now need to read into them and somewhat discard what appears to be opinion floating over the top of these factual events, which in my view is casting the wrong kind of light on some of these offences, particularly when recently we've seen people going to prison for what they've posted online, and they've been heavily reported with regard to the civil unrest and riots around the country. These kind of things should, in my view, be treated just as seriously, if not more seriously, because they are more serious offences than typing something online. But by the by, if you find that useful and you like this as a fresh, brutal, honest alternative to the mainstream media, please do consider subscribing. I'll appreciate that, and I'll keep coming back and I'll tell you the truth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.